Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay, the number one source for competitive Legends of Runeterra news and information. If you're looking for the best decks to play right now, be sure to check us out on Twitter at Master Runeterra or in our Discord. And if you want to take the next step in leveling up your game, check out our Runeterra team on Patreon, where we do weekly learning calls and one-on-one coaching. Now strap in and grab yourself some Poro snacks, because we are about to start Mastering Runeterra.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay. We have a great show for you today. This is Seasonals Eve. Seasonals is tomorrow. We're going to talk all about Seasonals. Before we jump into that, though, just want to give a shout out to our sister podcast, the Runeterra Radio. If you want more great Runeterra content, be sure to check them out. You can find them on Twitter at Runeterra Radio. They just had Swim on their podcast a couple days ago. It was great. Go check that out. They have new content every Wednesday. Okay, with that said, let's jump into it. Bay, Seasonals is tomorrow. You won last Seasonals. What are you thinking going into this one?
I'm thinking a lot of things. The first thing I'm thinking is that this format is super wide open, and I have no clue what people are going to bring. Like, in general, we know that Thresh Nasus and TLC will probably be pretty popular, but based on previous Seasonals, even when there was like a for sure like best deck, even the most popular deck wasn't played that much. So I expect to see just a whole bunch of everything, and I don't really feel adequately prepared for it. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's a bit of a luck of the draw in a really balanced format like this one. I mean, first off, there's already 1,000 people playing. And like you say, no matter how good a deck is, even TF Fizz levels of good, there's still a huge amount of people that are not going to bring that deck for a whole variety of reasons. Maybe they don't feel competent with it. Maybe they don't like it. Maybe they don't think it's good. Maybe they just want to play their own decks. They're just not that. Or maybe they want to target it. There's all kinds of reasons that people will not play the quote-unquote best deck or decks. And so thus, even if they are universally accepted as just the best, you still won't see them hit something above like 30 to 40% of the meta, which, you know, in 1,000 people in 9 rounds, you could easily just never see TLC. You could, you know, some people will just play 9 rounds and 0 opponents will have TLC, which is wild to think about, or Thresh Nasus, which is wild to think about because of just like how powerful and dominant they've been this last couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. So it's gonna be real interesting. And unfortunately, both of us did not make it high enough on ladder. We threw away a bunch of our LP, our learning points, as they're called, in the last week, and we did not make the cut for where it's likely that we'll make it in at 7-2. So we're both gonna have to try to 8-1, which is a lot to ask. That's a tough number to hit.
Yeah.
I would say probably equally as difficult as 5-0.
Yeah, so I was looking at the breakdown of, there's 1,024 players, 9 rounds. So statistically, 2 people will go 9-0, and then I guess something like 18 go 8-1. I think so 20
at 7-2,
and then 12 at 7-2 make it in on tiebreakers. So you have to be in the top 20 players out of 1,024. Oof.
Yep.
And yeah, so like you said, the field's gonna be wide open. You're gonna see decks you didn't even know existed. Didn't even know that was a deck, let alone something I would face. So I gotta say though, the people that do make the top 32, man, are they gonna earn it? Are they gonna deserve it? You know, those are gonna be 32 of the best Runeterra players. I do like that. I kind of like that. I don't know. Yeah, that leveling of the variance, right?
Anything to take away some of the variance in a competitive format is usually a good idea. And so with this type of format, if we see this going forward, we'll likely see a lot more of the cream rise to the top.
Creme de la creme.
Yeah, whatever the fucking saying is. I don't even know if I can say that on here. I guess it's our podcast. I can say whatever I want.
Beep beep
Um,
beep.
yeah, just beep. So the best players, you will see their names pop up more often if seasonals is structured like this, right? Um,
Yeah.
the people really performing on ladder have a better chance of making the top 32. It's a lot easier to 7-2 than it is to 5-0. A lot easier. And so, yeah, I like this format because then with Worlds coming, seeing some of the same names a lot in seasonals will, I think, like bring a lot of hype to the event. You get to see all these people that you've seen do very well over multiple tournaments, maybe in different regions, or maybe like, you've seen this person do really well and you've seen this person do really well, but they never really played each other in a tournament. And then in Worlds, like it's all coming together, and that's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, that will be exciting. Hey, just to see the top killers from each region again and again, and then at Worlds see them all clash against each other. It's like an all-star game. That's what you call it, Worlds, right? That's pretty cool. I'm excited for that now. I didn't really think about that until you just mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited just to see who does well. Like, I obviously want to do well, of course, like everybody else, but I don't, expect to do well because it's, you got to run good. You gotta get lucky no matter who you are. If you just run to 9 terrible lineups, like, you're maybe not making the top cut of that one.
Not your day.
Not your day. It happens. But some people are just going to be like 9 great matchups, and they're just going to like, you have to play well still, don't get me wrong. But you do have to get lucky one way or the other. So I do want to do well, but I'm excited just to see who does well and what lineups do well, and like see that whole story play out throughout the day is going to be really exciting. Having those extra rounds, just having more like games, more content, more coverage, that's cool. That's exciting. I'm gonna be excited for anyone that makes it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what, like you say, rises to the top. In like good play, I keep thinking about like, you're gonna run to all kinds of stuff, but like there's so much play in Runeterra to all the games. Hey,
yeah, especially right now, I feel like.
Yeah, everything's so even, and there's so much like
so even. Yeah,
even like your really bad matchups, like sometimes you just get them. Sometimes
still winnable. Winnable.
So it's gonna be really exciting. I can't believe it's finally here. Feels like we've been counting down to this for a while now.
It's like for a while, and this is a shorter period between seasonals too. Normally it's like another 2-3 weeks. I think 2-3-4 weeks. Yeah, because they wanted to. I think because they wanted to squeeze in one more seasonals before Worlds or something. Now that we have the Worlds announcement, that's what I'm gathering that it is. They want to hit the 5th seasonal before Worlds. But yeah, they're normally like a little longer, I believe. Not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I remember hearing that.
Fair enough. I'm happy to have them. Speaking of tournaments more frequently, we are holding another $1,000 tournament May 15th and 16th. So if you want to play in that, come join our Patreon. The new cards will be dropping on May 5th. So you'll have like 10 days to, get your new lineup set up and test out some of those. That'll be fun and exciting. Love the new shakeups. But
it'll be like the first like big tournament when the cards come out.
Yeah, love it. Those are one of my favorite ones in Magic, going to like those Grand Prix when the format's
where like
new.
Literally nobody knows what's gonna be good or not.
Yeah,
those are fun.
And if you put a bunch of time and effort, like you really get rewarded for it. Speaking of getting rewarded, why don't we talk a little bit about what we're bringing to seasonals and like why? I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I'm being boring. I'm bringing TLC, Thresh Nasus, and Zoe Lee.
Good decks.
TLC is a great deck. It's very strong. And most lineups right now are like ban TLC or beat TLC. That's kind of like, at least most lineups that I hear about, right? Like we say all these things. We're like, oh yeah, everyone's coming either with TLC to ban TLC or beat TLC. But in reality, that's like 25% of the field, right? Maybe. The rest of the people are just bringing whatever they want to bring. And we're going to see a lot of that still. So yeah, bringing TLC, bringing Thresh Nasus, I think that's like the strongest like core of a lineup right now, just like pound for pound. They're both incredibly powerful decks. They've been dominating ladder. So bringing those two, and then to round it out, I have Lee Sin. 1, because I'm incredibly familiar with the archetype, and 2, it has both good matchups against TLC and Thresh Nasus, which I like. Plus, it like the deck can beat anything. Like
Yeah.
even your bad matchups are winnable, right?
Yeah.
Which I really enjoy. And I feel like of all the decks, that's probably the one that rewards you the most for like mastery right now. So
Agreed.
yeah, happy to get Lee in my lineup again. That's what I'm running.
Yeah. So I was on the same as you. That lineup won our $1,000 tournament last weekend. In the hands of Lord Vaughn, shout out. And I played Lord Vaughn's lists, really liked them. I liked his take on Zoe Lee with the no goats and just the moon package to search up your 2-drops. I had a lot of success with it on the ladder. It was crushing. But I don't know. First off, I definitely don't have as many reps as you do. I have quite a few, but I definitely don't have the same level of experience as you. You get into some tough, like sticky situations with that deck where you really need to like thread the needle. There's no room for error whatsoever. And then also there's a little bit of the fail rate where sometimes you don't draw Lee, sometimes you can still win with it, but then sometimes you just can't. So that happens.
You're like,
that happens.
Yeah.
But all decks do have that though. All decks have, like we saw Mo play emotional playing triple aggro, and he drew like all 3 of his 6-drops by like turn 3 or turn 2 or something. I was like, oh, hand got bricked. Yeah.
Playing Thresh Nasus, you don't draw the fodder units. Playing Lysandra Trundle, you don't find Lysandra. Like sometimes you don't find it and you just lose the game.
Exactly. So I don't think that's a huge knock against the deck. But you have to win the games that you should win, and that was where I was like, because it's just not forgiving. And I'm like, I don't see myself playing 9 rounds flawlessly with it. And I started to just lose to some random stuff here or there. So the other deck that I've been playing alongside TLC and Thresh Nasus is Easy Draven, which I really like. I like the deck a lot. It's the exact opposite side of the spectrum as Lee. Lee beats the good decks and struggles against the like quote unquote bad decks. And Easy Draven's the opposite of that, where it's like not particularly good into TLC or Thresh Nasus or Lee, but then is quite good against like the most of the rest of the field. And so
your Stargrounds, your Deep, your Acel decks, that's where like Ezreal Draven really starts.
A lot of the mid range, a lot of the aggro stuff. Yeah, it does pretty well into. It's also a lot more forgiving. I've like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I should have done that. Okay, dry beam that for 6. I win. Like, you get to do some big, or like, oh, drop the Farron on you. GG, didn't matter. So I like that. I like that also, like, Lee, you can beat anything. I've definitely beaten TLC and Thresh Nasus with it before. And it was tough. I flip-flopped like basically every day this week. I went back and forth between the two because, like we said, they're kind of like the 2 sides of the same coin. It's like which decks do you want to beat more? And eventually I just came to the kind of like this conclusion that I think the biggest part of it for me was like if I was picking your lineup, I'd probably go with Lee. But I was just like, I didn't trust myself to. I'm like, I'm gonna make at least minimum like 1 or 2 rough mistakes probably this tournament. You just can't have that.
That's understandable. It takes some pressure off you to not have to like perform at like peak, right?
Yeah,
the whole time.
And then also
you can make some mistakes with Ezreal Draven. You don't want to, obviously, but like,
of course,
it's a more forgiving deck.
It's definitely more forgiving, yeah. And then, like we're talking about, I'm wondering how much of an echo chamber we are in. Where like to us in our world, in the competitive world, it's TLC, Thresh Nasus everywhere. It's like basically everyone's going to play that, right? No one's going to not play that.
TLC, Thresh Nasus, or you're playing like a triple scouts. Like
to beat it,
lineup, right?
Yeah, and then the reality is that those 2 lineups are going to be like, I don't know, 35% of the field, maybe less. So that means there's still like 700 people out there that are playing other stuff. That's just like, oh, I got my Heimerdinger deck, I got my my Lux deck, I got my whatever.
I got my Lux Vi. I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
this deck did it for me in Gauntlet. Like,
get it done. And so I like Easy Draven into that because that's another thing is that if you're going up into like, if you're playing Lee against some stuff you just don't understand, that could be a bad time also. With Easy Draven, you're still just like guy, kill a thing, another like a little bit more.
Shoot,
yeah, stun that, kill you. You have an aggressive game plan. It's pretty good into a lot of that stuff. So anyway, so that's where I ended up. And I also just really enjoy the deck. I really like it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. And so like at least that way if I'm going out, like at least I had a good time and I enjoyed it and like I feel like I can put up a good fight. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at with my lists. Really excited to see what ends up doing well though, because like I said, the echo chamber's real.
Yeah, because like the people we talk to most are like each other, our testing team, and the other like streamers that are super competitive. So all we hear from are the people who are like extremely competitive looking to win seasonals, right? So everyone's playing the best deck or coming to beat the best deck. And that's just like not how 700 of the people that are going to be at seasonals play Runeterra. It's just not going to be the case. But it's so easy to fall into that trap of, oh, I got to either ban, like I have to ban this every single time. So I need to bring this to shore up this deck and yada, yada, yada. And then you run it against a triple undying lineup and you're like,
what?
I wasn't prepared for this. Where's your TLC? Right? That's gonna happen.
Yeah,
that stuff's gonna happen. So yeah, I think we are in a bit of an echo chamber. I'm just excited to see what does well. Something that we talked about a lot. We always mention it as one of like the top decks, but none of us really play it, so we don't talk about it as much. Ash Noxus has been tearing it up.
Yep.
The LeBlanc Ash deck has been just killing it. There's the two versions. There's the bigger version, with the standard kind of version, and then there's the Legion Marauder version. You can play either one. I think that the normal version is probably better. But they're both very strong, and yeah, they've been kind of tearing it up. And since neither of us really play the deck, I feel like we don't bring it up very often. It's usually something we just say like, "Oh yeah, and this deck's good,"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm afraid that we've been sleeping on it, frankly. Like, just literally this morning, I was like, I feel like I always lose to that deck. Oh, shoot. Maybe we should have done it. And a lot of people are playing it. Like, maybe there's a good reason. So, yeah, maybe we might have slept on that one. What do you think? Okay, here's another one. Zoe Asol. I was super hot on it like 2.5 weeks ago. Thought it was great. And I was like, nope, I'm off it. Not so good. But then I see Ace just crushing the ladder with it, just all day, every day, just crushes everyone. And so
I don't know. The deck feels bad when I play it. It just feels not good. I'd rather play Leona Asol or Shyvana Asol, I think, than Zoe Asol right now. Just, I don't know. Every time I play the deck, I'm like, I feel clunky. I'm not now. A caveat here, a disclaimer. I am not good with those kinds of decks. Big mid-rangey dudes are not the kind of decks that I can play well. I falter with like when to get on board more and when to just cast my spells, because I just always want to cast the spells because spells are more fun. I struggle with that kind of deck because I just don't have the practice with that archetype. So I might be a little biased, but every time I play the deck, it feels bad.
Yeah, I had a similar experience, but then when I play against it, I lose a lot. Also, like I found like Nightfall, I found was really tough. Easy Draven, I don't like that matchup. I don't know why I'm not running into it when I'm playing TLC or Thresh Nasus. Those feel like they'd probably be better into it, but I just feel like I never actually ended up playing that matchup for some reason.
Thresh Nasus is like not super favored. It's like 50-50, maybe 45-55. Who knows?
Yeah, hushes are a problem.
And Hush is a problem. Hush plus strike effects, because you can like kind of play around Hush, but if they can like also hit your Nasus out of combat after Hush, that's pretty brutal. TLC, I feel like just kind of stomps it. They're just too slow, right?
Yeah.
You just like cast your avalanches and your whales or whatever and keep them off like Zoe. And then you cast like a Ruination maybe, and then you combo them. And they go, darn, that sucks. And that's the end of the game. So yeah, don't think that matchup's very good for the Asol deck, but people seem to still be having a lot of success with it. I think that deck is similar to Ezreal Draven, where it just like stomps everything else. Anything that's like just a random deck, it seems like it probably just beats.
Yeah, which now that you're saying that, I'm like, oh, maybe I should be playing that. That actually seems
Yeah, I mean,
better.
it's still not bad. It's probably really good into Ashe and Oxus too.
Seems
Maybe.
like it
Maybe
could
I'm
be
making
decent.
that up. But like
If only we
Brittle
had
Steel's
tested.
yeah, if only we had tested. There's only so much you can test. But like Brittle Steel seems like it's probably really bad in that matchup. And all these like out of combat strike effects make it so that they have to like double up on their protection spells. They have to protect their things in combat and out of combat, which is
Yeah.
usually how you beat these kinds of decks. And your things just get bigger. You know, you're like Sick Ash, Eclipse Dragon, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Sick Reckoning, my gigantic dragons. You know what's gonna be really interesting? What if we're just like super wrong? So for instance, TLC and Thresh Nasus, we both thought were like hot garbage about 3 weeks ago. We were like, nah, those decks are not good. Get that out of here. No. And then all of a sudden, like the format started to change, the meta started to change, but like it keeps changing. Like, where is it at now?
Yep. It's not done yet. So that is certainly possible and probably likely. You know, the best deck could still be out there.
Yeah.
We're still seeing innovation. You know, things
A
like
lot.
Legion Marauder, Ashe and Oxus is kind of like coming out of the woodworks now.
Yeah.
I expect that LeBlanc has a very good showing. That's my guess. I think. Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of Ashe LeBlanc. I think decks like LeBlanc Sivir have a lot of have some legs. Because while LeBlanc itself dies to like Avalanche and like Caretaker, which is kind of a big pillar of the format right now, like 3 toughness is like way better than 2 toughness right now. Way better because of Avalanche, Caretaker, and Blighter Beam. So while like LeBlanc herself dies to those, the deck usually either runs protection spells and all the rest of the deck just doesn't die to those. You know, it's all like 3/3 and up, outside of your like 2 drops, which is pretty strong against most of the format right now. So we'll see, but that's like something I'm thinking.
Yeah, this could be interesting to see. Do you know? Does all the data get revealed afterwards? Do we even get access to that? I feel like that didn't become a thing.
I feel like we get a lot of
seasonals.
data. I don't really remember. I know we get like the top 32 info, obviously.
Yeah.
But I feel like fielding all the lists is probably difficult. I'm not sure. I guess we'll have
That's
to
a
wait
lot of
and
lists. It's a lot of lists.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
But God, I love data. So like that'd be so nice to get just like a sheet with like, here's how often this deck was brought. Here's its win percentage. You know, like just all the way down. Oh,
you know what? Yeah, check this out. So people have done that for all the community tournaments, ours included. They'll go through all the deck lists and then be like, this is how many times this deck was played, and this is the win percentage of decks with this lineup in it. But you know what I always wonder about? So like, for instance, from our tournament, like Discard Aggro, I think had like the highest win percentage, and like Lee had like one of the lowest, but Lee ended up winning the tournament. And there was not that much Discard Aggro in like the top 8, top 16. So one of the things I was thinking about, I'm like, this is not this deck's win percentage. This is lineups with this deck in them.
Yeah.
Which so like a one deck could just be doing a terrible job, but like I don't know, or just gets banned all the time. And then the other decks are carrying it or whatever. So it's like it's a little bit like misconstrued on. I wonder if it gets evened out enough, which is like that many different lineups running those decks or whatever.
Maybe,
but I mean, I don't know.
Maybe, but like yeah. You were saying Discard Aggro had like one of the highest win rates, and then like Spiders Aggro also had a really bad win rate, and those are usually played together. So like, maybe don't play Spiders is the info to take away from that, or maybe do whatever. I don't know, but like, yeah, I mean that data is like so nice to have. It's so nice. I love looking at that, and then every time I see Lee with a bad win rate, I'm like.
Yeah, so how do you? It's like 44% win percentage with Lee, and then also wins tournament.
Yeah, also won the tournament and seasonals, and it's really good. And then all the top like streamers are like, Lee's fucking busted.
yeah, Lee's too good.
Just like doesn't. Yeah, it's got a bad win rate.
Because it's the thing with Lee is that it's very good against the quote unquote good decks, like we were talking about earlier. But it can definitely struggle against like, you know, aggro decks, like sort of random decks. that just happen to have a lineup that's good against it. And then it's also very difficult to play. There's something, we haven't touched too much on in the podcast, like the winners metagame. So for instance, as the rounds go on in seasonals, like when you're getting to round 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the farther along it is, the more that you can expect certain decks, like we're saying TLC and Thresh Nasus, to be prevalent, because they will be the ones left standing, because they are, in our opinion, better. And so
you filter out the gold and plat players that spiked Gauntlet and things like that, generally, right? And then, yeah, the better players tend to win more, and the better players tend to favor the meta decks because they tend to be the best decks. So yeah, as you said, the longer the tournament goes on, the more you tend to see those meta strategies.
Yeah, and they just tend to do more winning also. That's why we think they're good, because they just win more. And so if you can make it into that, like into those later rounds unscathed with a deck like Lee, you're gonna be doing a lot better. But it's like those first 5 rounds or so, maybe even
Scary.
6. Yeah, that's like a bit of a crapshoot. You don't know what to expect. I think that's how you see the juxtaposition of like, oh, Lee got trounced on, but then also won the tournament. So it's like, yeah, the ones, a lot of them got taken down early, but the ones that made it through to the later stages, they really thrived against this like more specific meta that they are very good against, of these like quote unquote top decks. Because our tournament was filled with TLC Thresh, like just absolutely to the brim,
stuffed to the gills. Yeah. That was also like the breakout week for Thresh Nasus, right? That's when like we got a refined list. People started putting Reaper in it and cutting like the bad cards, like Right of Summoning or whatever that one's called. The 0 mana one. It's when like people started cutting that and really like fine tuning the lists, and then everyone was like, oh, this deck's insane. So like everybody brought it to the tournament. Everybody and their mom brought TLC Thresh Nasus to the tournament. So if you can get past those early rounds with Lee, like you said, get past the scouts and the burn and the discard and things like that, and into an expected field of like Zoe Asol, Thresh Nasus, TLC, Zoe Diana, then like your Lee is looking really good.
Yeah, man, all this talk about seasons has got me so hyped up. I'm like, I just want to play now. I just want to get it going. One other thing to talk about is it is going to be a long day.
Long day.
So I'm just looking at it here. Check-in starts at 9 a.m. Pacific. The last round 9, ends at 8 p.m.
It's like 11 hours.
11
it's
hours.
Like 10, but yeah. So do you have any like
10 hours
pre-tournament or like during tournament rituals when you have like long tournament days?
Yeah, so I really like to try and stay in the zone as much as possible, as they say, if anyone's listening to the podcast, I'm using quotations. And to do that, I like to, I try to focus on one game at a time and like not focus on anything else. Between rounds, it's much nicer to not stream. It makes it much easier to play tournaments.
Oh my god, because you have to stay there if you're streaming. And you're like, well, I gotta be entertaining somehow. Sometimes when I need that break, I'm just throw on like match starting soon and I go do whatever I want. But like, it's so tough. And you're like, okay, I have 30 minutes. I guess I'll play chess.
I really like being alone, even at like Grand Prix and stuff. In between rounds, like I'll like go see my friends, check in, how you guys do, how do we do, everyone winning, cool, and like I'll go like sit by myself for a while and just like chill out and like relax my mind, do like some visualization. I find that that's very helpful. In Grand Prix Vancouver that I won, I did this a lot. And I like visualize, like I think about because it was draft, it was like a limited format. So I think about my deck a lot. I was like the cards, like I look through my I'd refresh my memory like of what was in my deck, because like you're waiting hours between the rounds. You can forget exactly what your deck is. And like visualize, I'm like, what do my good starts look like? What does winning look like? I'm gonna go here. What are some of the combos and cards that I'm looking for in my deck? And I find that to be like really helpful. I don't always do it, but I find that when I do, it makes a big difference. Because also then when I settle in for the game, I don't know, I'm not like thinking about a bunch of things. I'm not, I don't have a lot of anxiety. I'm kind of just like, yeah, I'm just gonna do that thing that I was just.
I just pictured this.
Just
So let's
picture
just
this.
do the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Now
do
let's
it.
just make it happen. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like as if you're practicing, right? But even though you're just visualizing it, it's as if you are doing practicing. It's like instead of shooting a basketball 1,000 times, if you're visualizing yourself, like they talk about that in like sports psychology
Yeah,
and
they
stuff
call it
all
like
the time.
mental reps and stuff.
Yeah. And it's like not the
It
exact
works.
same. You do need to learn how to shoot a basketball, but like, you've played Runeterra a bunch. You know how to play Runeterra. So visualizing yourself making certain plays, your deck playing out in certain ways, it just takes like some of the stress off. It just does a lot of good things for you. So I'm definitely going to try doing that during the tournament. What about you?
Yeah. Real quick on your visualization thing. I used to do
Mhm.
that a lot back in like sports.
Totally.
I used to play like lacrosse and stuff, and I was very hesitant to like do stuff with the ball. Like I would get the ball and like pass it, right? That was like what I'd do because I'd go, "Oh, that guy's really good. I'm just gonna give him the ball."
Uh-huh.
But I was good enough to like make it happen if I like if I would shoot the ball, if I would dodge, like I could make it happen. I was good enough to do that. I just wouldn't do it. I just wasn't comfortable doing it. So I spent a
Mhm.
lot of time visualizing. Every time in my head when I caught the ball, I'd dodge, right? I'd dodge into a shot. I'd catch the ball and rip it like immediately in my head. And then eventually in real life, when you catch the ball, your immediate thought becomes dodge or shoot, right? Like go
Yeah.
to the goal. So it like changed how I like viewed that. So yeah, I think that's super helpful. Me personally, if I can, I like to go to the gym about an hour before the tournament.
Yes.
And if I can't go to the gym, I hit like 100 push-ups and some pull-ups, right? And some squats, get the blood flowing. Because I go to the gym and I, pick things up and then I put them back down and I do that a bunch of times. And then I go back home and I got like them endorphins going. I feel confident. I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, I could do it. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Um, that anxiety is just gone. I just don't have to worry about it anymore. And I just feel good and I feel focused. And if I don't, I feel like lethargic.
Lethargic.
I feel like I'm not quite there.
Woken up.
Right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
still asleep.
exactly. I'm still asleep. I'm still asleep. And so hitting the gym early and hitting the gym hard, love doing that. And then in between rounds, sometimes I'll just walk around like in 3 hours, after like 3 hours of play, I'll just try to like get up and walk around, have some food that's like blueberries or, like
Oh,
something kind
they're
of like
so
light.
good. Yeah.
Blueberries are so good. Yeah. Blueberries, trail mix, like people call it like brain food, but really I just want like, I want food that's light.
Light.
Um,
Yes.
that's light. I don't want it to sit. If it makes me want to do this, I don't eat it.
Not good. Yeah.
Um, for those of you who can't see me, I just like lounge back in my chair. I want stuff that I have to have stuff that like keeps me alert. And then I drink a lot of caffeine,
Me
like
too.
normally, but on tournament days, I still drink a lot of caffeine.
Me too.
I try to space it out, every like 4 rounds or something. Cause like Grand Prix, like, Grand Prix and Magic can be like,
Whew.
they're like 13, 14-hour events.
Easy.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Easy. And you got to be on it. And it's not like you can go sit on your like go take a walk because you're at home, like it is now. You're there in person. But streaming, oh my god, makes things so tough
It's exhausting.
because it's exhausting. And those of you who don't stream, obviously this isn't relevant to you, but I'm gonna whine about it anyway. So if you're like playing a tournament, right, and you're 4 rounds in or whatever, and you're doing a good job, and you finish your match in 15 minutes, well, there's 55 minutes or whatever until the next round starts, but you're on stream. You can't be
Yeah.
off. You can't leave, right?
Yeah.
You can, but you shouldn't. And so, like, what do? You don't get that off time in between rounds because you're live. You're on stream. You got to be doing something. You're an entertainer, and it's your job. So yeah, streaming and playing tournaments is not easy. That's why I prefer
Very.
decks that like take longer because I can just super focus on the game and I don't have that
I didn't think about
downtime
that.
because that downtime drains me more
It's a
than
killer.
playing the games does.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a really good point. I was gonna say something about that too. Where like play a couple test games in the morning, because I find that the first
Yeah,
game
at
I
least
play
get one or
of
two
any
games.
day, I punt the first game every time without fail. I just do something super stupid. So jump on the
Get a
ladder,
couple games in.
jam some games in, get the neurons flowing.
The juices, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And another, like you were saying, a workout in the morning, really clears the cobwebs out of your mind, like wakes you the hell up. Your brain's like, oh, stuff's happening. We're like, oh, am I running? Am I lifting things? I need to be focused. I need to be awake so I don't hurt myself or whatever. It really like snaps you up. Whereas if you just like roll out of bed, click register and start playing, you're like kind of just like, I don't know, am I awake? Am I sleeping? Who knows? Like your brain's not really there, even though if you like feel you are. So thanks for that reminder. I'm gonna go for a run in the morning for sure. It's also getting your body exhausted lets your mind like kind of like you're not antsy, like all of those things just go away. Your mind's able to just like focus. It's great.
It's like kind of zen. Like
very zen, in the zone. Very in the zone. Yeah.
Focused. Yeah.
Nice. That's the state that you want to be in, not thinking about anything else, just relaxed, trying your best. Like I'm just here to have fun, kick ass, do my best. Don't be like, I have to win. Oh, I have to beat this person. Oh no, I'm playing Majin Bay. No. Like none of that. Just chill out. Just here to kick some butt. All right, let's do this.
Yeah, that's another reason why I like to play decks that I enjoy playing. Is because if I don't enjoy playing it, all that matters to me if I don't enjoy playing is winning and losing. Because that's
you want to get out. You want to get out of that situation. Yeah.
So playing a deck that I enjoy, it's so much easier for me to focus on like playing well because my brain isn't going win, yes. Right? Like I'm thinking like, oh, they could have this and this, but then if I do this, I get to do this because like I'm excited about playing this deck and this strategy, which is why I love Lee. Because I just love playing Lee. So when I bring Lee to a tournament, I'm like excited. Oh, I get to play Lee. Like hell yeah. Let's get it, right? And then I'm playing it and I don't get tired of it. So 6 rounds in, I'm not just like, oh, another game. And I kind of start autopiloting it because I enjoy playing it so much. Which is big. Also, don't autopilot.
Killer.
It's hard to like, keep yourself on track of not doing that. But my God, autopiloting is horrible in tournaments. Try your hardest not to do that.
It is a killer in all things. Autopilot is just like, you can't win, especially like you're playing against the other best players in your region. Like they're going to be on it. It's going to be different than the ladder. That's something that it's almost like when you hear about people going from like, I don't know, college football to the NFL or something, and they're like, it's different. They're like everything's a little bit faster. Everything's a little bit harder. Everyone's a little bit stronger. And it's like that playing in any tournament, really, I've found, especially seasonals, where if you're used to playing on the ladder, people are taking it a little bit easier. You get some free wins here and there. People make some mistakes. Like these tournaments, no, people are out to win, and they're giving it their everything. They're coming prepared. They're playing decks that they've played a lot. They're not just trying stuff out. And so I find that people put me in positions that are a lot more difficult that I'm not always used to. They play their decks a lot better than what I'm used to on the ladder. So I feel like I often enter tournaments in a bit of a lull, in a bit of like, okay, like we're ready for this, but like not really being like everything matters. Like the littlest, like you passed at the wrong time, or you like put one damage where it shouldn't have gone, or you like kind of made one misstep, and your opponents are going to punish you. So you really need to be from the jump, from like your mulligan decisions. Before that, even you need to be in the zone, focused, and knowing that they're coming for you. It's not fun time. It's work time. And that's something go.
Yeah, I totally agree. Try to take a couple seconds before you click OK or pass every time. Like before you cast your spell, take a couple seconds and like make sure that's what you want to do. I'm not encouraging you to like rope your opponents or anything. There is a clock and it is important.
Talk about that,
especially since the match time got decreased. You can just lose if you run out of match time, so don't do that. But really, like, take your time a bit. Don't just like rush through it. I play incredibly fast.
So fast
on ladder.
You trust me. Even seasonals. I watched you. I watched your entire seasonals run, and like the top 32. You were like you had games like that were like pretty locked up. You just needed to like just double check, make sure everything. You were like click. I was like, so stop, think for 2 seconds. Oh my god, it's amazing how fast you play and at that level.
I play very fast. I do not recommend doing it. I
No.
misplay more because I play fast than I would if I didn't play fast, right? Um, and there are times where I'm just like going through the motions. I'm like, okay, yeah, I do this, 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 and this, and this, and then I win. But I like don't check I or something, and like something weird happens, or I like miscounted my math, and then I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, I just messed up. And if it's ladder, I'm like, whatever, right? Who cares? But like in seasonals, when that happens, you're gonna get crushed, and
Yeah.
that sucks. Like that is not a great reason to get kicked out of seasonals because your opponents are not going to make those mistakes. Maybe they will, but you can't count on that. So really take your time. I'm gonna try to be better about it as well.
Yeah, I'm already glacially slow, so I don't really need that advice. Double checking things though, definitely good. So yeah, the round time being less. Do we find out exactly what happens when the time runs out? Like
If
I
it's the
actually don't
same as
know.
previous seasonals, then when the time runs out, it's the person with the most time wins. If it's 1-1, I don't know what
Oh,
happens if it's 1-0, but
okay.
like I imagine it's the same. Now like you should never be 1-0 going into like running out of time. That means both players are like
Yeah.
roping incredibly hard,
Glacial
and the
slow.
games like have been really really long. Um, so you're usually gonna be 1-1. But yeah, keep an eye on that clock, and then like you have like a personal clock. It's like match timer like here, and then here are your personal clocks, right on the outside of it.
Uh-huh.
And when your personal clock goes like below 0, your turns are faster. You
Uh-huh.
have less time. Um, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but usually the reason I play so fast is because like a lot of your decisions aren't really decisions, and then like a few of your decisions are like the real decisions, right?
Very important, yeah.
So I'm used to, yeah, so I like to play pretty fast, and then like I'll take like 2 minutes on like the really tough ones. You
Yeah.
can't do that so much in Runeterra because you do have the rope, right? But in like Magic Arena, chess, poker, things like that, I play very fast. And then when like my decision time is here, when I need that time, when it's that critical turn, I'll take 2-3 minutes. Like I'll take the time I need. So I like to have that time. But if you're taking too long on all of your turns, you don't have that time anymore. It's going to come down to that turn where it's all kind of on the line here. The decision you make is going to decide this game. And well, you only have a 20-second timer, right? Like, sorry, you used up too much of your time. So now your turn's too short. So try like take your time on your plays, but try not to take too long. Don't be like going deep in the tank about which 2-drop you can play on turn 2. Like
Yeah.
you know which one's best, right? Like just play that one.
Yeah, take a
Um,
little time, then go.
take a little time. Take a couple seconds. Don't think about it for 20. You're gonna run out of time if you do that. If you're playing like aggro decks, this is obviously less.
Not an issue.
It's not geared towards you, right? If you're playing burn, you're probably not going to run up against this
Take
problem.
all the time you
But if your
want.
decks are like, if you bring my lineup, if your decks are like TLC, Thresh, Nasus, and Lee, like the clock is a concern. Um, and with the 10 minutes off the total match time, like I got kind of close to running out of time. I think in one of my matches, it got down to like 6 or 7 minutes total on the match, which is wild, especially considering how fast I tend to play. So now with
Yeah.
10 minutes less,
You would have timed out.
we're going to see a lot of timeouts, I feel like.
Yeah, it was a bit of an issue in our tournament. We put a time on it that was similar to seasonals. I think it was like maybe 5 minutes more than seasonals, though it does take longer for people to kind of get going in a off client tournament rather than this one that's in client where things kind of are forced to move and they start automatically. But still, it was still became a bit of an issue. And yeah, like you said, even like you do play like much faster than I do, much faster than most people. Admittedly, you are playing like slower decks, but still you play them fast, and like you still would have had a timeout. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of timeouts. So very important to keep an eye on the clock and like try to keep your time, I guess, above your opponent's time, so that if you do run out of whatever that is, round time, I guess, that you don't get the loss because of it. Yeah, it's gonna be real interesting to see that happen. I'm trying to think back. Like, I don't think I ever had that issue, but I was always playing at least one aggro deck, if not more, actually. So, this might be an issue for me because I played pretty slow, and I don't have a lot of experience, playing with this kind of clock. So that's definitely something I'm going to keep an eye on, and our listeners should definitely be doing the same.
Hmm. Yeah. Mostly that's it. Is just be conscious of it. You don't have to like drastically change how you play the game. You don't have to, like, don't go into it being like, oh, I gotta play faster, or like, oh my god, there's a clock now. Don't worry about it. Just watch it.
Yeah.
Just keep an eye on it. If you're getting down to single digits or something, and you're like, not on your personal clock. If you're getting down to like 6 minutes left on the match timer, it's probably time to pick it up. And if definitely if you're getting down that low and you think the game's going to go on long, make sure you have more time on your clock than your opponent does. Because if it comes down to it, you do not want to be the one who gets the match loss for it. That would suck.
That would suck hard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Remember, I was telling the story of the streamer in seasonals who like made it to 4-0 because of the match timeout on the turn. Like they were dead on board during the attack, and the match timed out and they won. It was Nola Gold. I was watching the stream live in between my rounds, and his opponent had attacked, and he didn't know. He didn't know that the timer running out meant that he was going to win. So he was just like fiddling with his blocks, and then he went to go hit surrender, and I was like, no, there's 20 seconds left on the clock. Just burn it, right? Just burn it. Or whatever, like 12 seconds. And he like thinks he almost clicks surrender, and then he clicks the X and he fiddles around with his blocks some more, checks I, kind of moans about the scenario for a second, right? He goes, damn, if we'd have drawn this, right? Moves his blocks some more, hits I, still dead, goes to click surrender again, decides to just click OK, goes to click OK, time runs out, he wins the match. And he was
wow.
Like, what? Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. 1,000 people playing 9 rounds. That's like almost 10,000 games potentially. Oh, that's another thing we didn't talk about actually. So yeah, so wrapping that up though, keep a close eye on that timer. It's gonna happen to some people. There's gonna be some stories. Don't
let it be you.
Don't let it be you. Don't let it be me. But now. As I was thinking about this, I'm like, but I guess not everyone will play all of the rounds, right? But then I remembered that each game you win counts towards qualifying for Worlds. So
which we have not brought up yet on this podcast, by the way. We should probably talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, so for those of you who have been not super involved in Runeterra over the last week or so, maybe you're not on like Twitter or something, Worlds got announced. The World Championships got announced. It is coming in September. It's going to be 256, I think, total invitees, 64 from each region. And then they're cutting it down to the top 16 for the World Finals. Everyone who top 4'd a seasonal gets in. And then there's a point system where you gain points based on where you finish on ladder from your best 2 seasons out of the 5. Points for each match win in seasonals. And I think that's it, right? Those are the only way to get points.
It's game win.
It's not match win, it's game win.
Confirmed. Whoa. It's game win. So if you lose,
okay, so game, yeah.
If you lose 1-2, you still get 1 point.
You still get point. Okay, wow. Okay, so and then they take the people with the most points, and those fill out the Worlds roster. I am qualified for Worlds. Thank you very much.
Subtle brag. Subtle brag.
Yep. So yeah, looking forward to that, obviously. But yeah, most people would like, oh, I lost 2, I'm out, right? And they just stop playing. But now, since you could qualify for Worlds with seasonals, you got to just play it out, right? If your like goal is to make it into Worlds, you have to play all of it. Yeah. Someone like
for everyone at home, he's motioning towards me.
Yep. Am I doing it the wrong way? Is it the wrong way on the overlay?
No, you nailed it. Just like for the people that can't see us or listening to the podcast.
Okay, yeah. I was motioning towards my luscious co-host.
Did you get that? Did Levin send that to you?
Yeah, I still have it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll send it to you, and you could, if you remember to, edit it in like right here.
The luscious J and Majin.
Okay, there it is. Yep. So yeah. What are we talking about? Worlds. Worlds is going to be sick. September. Super excited. When do we get more info about that? Do you have any idea? Because like we just know it's in September.
Things.
We don't know what day. We don't know. I'm assuming it's just going to be online.
Prize pool breakdown.
$200,000 total, by the way. It looks like, from the way the article is worded, it looks like no one gets paid until top 16.
Yeah.
So
you would imagine somewhere in the region of like $50,000 to $100,000 for first place.
Yeah.
Which is nice,
especially if they're doing like, if they just like copy paste seasonals payout, then it would be like 100K.
Yeah.
Then like 35K. And then down, right? Which, doesn't suck.
Does not suck.
It's all right.
I take 100K.
It's okay, I guess. Mm-hmm. I could use 100K.
What would you say if I won the 100K and then I just held a 100K Mastering Runeterra tournament with that 100K?
I'd play in it.
Jason, you're on your
like, I'm taking a 1 month leave of absence.
It's like running seasonals back. That's awesome.
Exactly. So if we're on the topic of Worlds,
I
expect, and a lot of us expect, there to be a lot more interest in competitive Runeterra, both inside the community and outside the community. So a lot of people are a lot more interested in getting good, as it were, right now, because a lot of people, like, now there's like the holy grail, right? There's like a mecca, like there's a place to go to. Before it was just seasonals, like you win seasonals and it was like, now what? I guess win another one. But now there's Worlds, and so there's a lot of interest stirring up in the community for that. We'll probably see a lot of people from other card games come try out Runeterra now that there's an actual like end goal. Probably see some Magic players, probably see more Hearthstone players, things like that, which is pretty exciting. And then we might even see some things like more sponsors and orgs get involved, which would be very cool.
Yeah. If anyone wants to sponsor my boy Bay over here, he's looking. Liquid one time. Yeah, Worlds is cool. I don't think it's gonna have. I think some people will come, but like I heard, I forget who it was. Some people from Riot were talking about this whole thing and esports and stuff, and they were saying it's like for the people that already played the game. And I was like, I don't know, what are you talking about? I was like, bring a big tour and people will come running. I don't think Worlds is quite it. My issue,
you have to have an esports scene, not one.
Yeah,
but it's a start.
Yeah, because it is a start. It's a great start. But it's also difficult to qualify for, right? You can't just show up like a Grand Prix in Magic and just be like, oh, I'll just throw a deck down and like see what happens. Like, nah, it's like you got to qualify. It's like huge time commitment. What I am really excited to see though is like now we are starting to get this whole like qualify for a big tournament. Like it's like, it's taking shape. And I would really love to see after Worlds, like the next year, what that looks like. Like if they plan out like a whole year worth of tournaments and stuff, and it's like, maybe they announce it right away as like a whole, hey, here's what's going to happen, and here's all the ways you can qualify. Because this one's kind of, it's a little ad hoc. Like they're kind of doing it because we really wanted it, and there's interest in it. But I feel like the next season, hopefully whatever it is, 3, 6, 12 months, makes it more like a whole, like, we get like the whole esports scene experience. Would love another regular tournament that's like seasonals, but maybe, I don't know, not seasonals. Like something more tour. That's
you want like
a Grand Prix. I want it more
okay.
Or like somewhere in the middle, or like either make, like seasonals is in between a Grand Prix and a Pro Tour. For anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, these are Magic tournaments. The thing with a Grand Prix, it's the same sort of size and payout, similar, but there is an entry fee, so typically like $50 to $100. But anyone can play. You can just show up and play. So that's kind of the difference there, in that there is this qualifying period for seasonals. You can't just show up and play, which I kind of like. But in the Pro Tour, you have to qualify for it. It's quite difficult to do. And it's a much smaller field, around like 350 people, bigger prize pool, but then you have to qualify. Whereas seasonals is kind of like amalgamation of the two. And so I'd rather see, either a Pro Tour or a Grand Prix, one of those become a mainstay to run alongside seasonals. That's kind of like what I like to see.
Seasonals feels more like a Grand Prix.
Yeah, it
than
does.
A Pro Tour for sure. Because like, you have to like qualify, but like,
I guess a pro league, yeah, it's not that hard to qualify. No, it's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, remember like when seasonals got announced, and I remember this very clearly. They
Mhm.
specifically used the term path to pro. And one worlds tournament does not make a pro scene,
No,
and it does not make pro players, right?
correct.
Like if right now you named the top 3 or 4 pro players in Runeterra, whose names come up?
Well, what do you mean by pro? Like making a
Like,
living?
yeah, just like okay, yeah, just someone who like if you asked any Runeterra player who are the top like pros,
Sure.
who's a Runeterra pro? It'd probably be like
BBG.
me,
You.
BBG,
Like, I don't know. Alan? Like makes
maybe, yeah.
plays. But the thing is, everyone's content creators. Like they're making all their money
Everyone's
from like
content creators.
streaming,
Yeah,
YouTube.
none of these people make enough money from Runeterra to
Yeah,
be a pro. Um, yeah, they have to make content on other websites. They're streamers who play Runeterra usually. They're not like Runeterra pros, and I would really like to see a way for there to be pro Runeterra players.
of course.
And
Yeah,
right
that's
now
over here.
we just don't have that. And I understand that Runeterra doesn't have like the League of Legends budget, right? But but um I do think that if you're going to have a competitive scene, you have to have some way to support the competitive players. The average player or like the non super pro player needs someone or like some status slash goal to like look up to. Like I remember starting Magic and seeing these pro players who like these guys were just Magic the Gathering players and they could make a lot of money. A lot of money. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so
Same.
I wanted to be Reed Duke, right? I wanted to be Paulo Vitor Damarosa. I wanted to do what they did. And that's what pushed me to like really dive deep into the competitive scene. And we don't have that for Runeterra, right?
Yeah.
Like you can aspire to be a seasonals winner or like a world's competitor.
Everybody does that on our team, apparently, except me.
Yeah,
Shut up,
I mean,
Pushby.
shout out Bushby, yeah. Like you can aspire to be those things, and those are like admirable goals. And obviously, there's a lot that comes with like winning one of those tournaments and stuff. But that's not like a sustainable thing. You know, I can't like plan out my year's budget and go, okay, well, I'm gonna win 3 seasonals, and that's $30,000.
What, you can't?
Tax and
Why
yeah,
not?
I can't do that. I can't do that. If there were more tournaments with bigger prize pools that were more exclusive, then yes, I could do that. Something in the veins of Pro Tour or more Worlds, things like that. But we don't have those. We have some seasonals and a Worlds, and the game is very new.
Very new.
Very
we just hit 1 year.
Like
we just hit 1 year.
Yeah. I mean, what seasonals was the first seasonal announcement was like 5 months ago?
Yeah.
4 months ago? That's when we started, like when we really started playing. I think it was 5-6 months ago. Maybe 6. Because I started playing back in like November. And like that was only 6 months ago. That's nothing. It feels a lot to us as the players, but like that's nothing. Now we have 2 seasonals under our belt. Another one's coming. We have a Worlds in September. Like things are really starting to take shape. So I'm hoping that Riot continues the trend. And I want a pro scene fleshed out. I want the infrastructure to be there for players to be Runeterra players, right? I want that to be an achievable goal for people.
100%. 100%. Yeah, me too. I mean, we both want that, right? That's like kind of why we're here. And that's like the dream. And, you know, we're trying to do our part a little bit and try to push that scene by having these like 1K tournaments that we've been holding and are going to be holding again the next couple of months. And yeah, it's just one of those things that like, I think it has to make dollars and cents, you know? If it's going to bring more money in and make more money for like everyone involved, you know, be it sponsors, be it Riot themselves, be it, you know, whoever's putting on the tournaments, that's really what it comes down to. And I mean, like if anyone can grow an esports scene, it's got to be Riot.
It's Riot.
Right?
Yeah, it's Riot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, exciting stuff coming.
Yep.
You know, it's amazing how early it is, and like, yeah, we got a lot going on already, and it's just like it seems like the future just keeps getting brighter and brighter. Okay, well,
things to look forward to.
Yeah, we're hitting an hour here. Anything else you want to say to anyone in?
Yes,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
quick. We're talking about all these exciting things, but we have not talked about the most exciting thing yet. Next month, we get champ skins.
Do we? Is that
We get
confirmed?
champ skins next month. Yeah, I'm gonna look at it right now. I pull it up every single time someone asks that question. 2021 Runeterra roadmap.
Is that on the calendar? Oh, it's a roadmap. It's on the
It's
calendar.
on the roadmap. Yeah. Not the in-game one,
Oh,
but like you can't see this. But
Okay.
remember the one where it was like January, co-op versus AI, February, Aphelios comes out, single player lab, like that one
Right.
that has all
Yeah.
the things all the way up to July. In May, we have new expansion, Guardians of the Ancient, a new
Mhm.
themed event, social lab / legends lab, and champion skins.
Ooh, I want those champ skins.
And I Twitter tweeted out the other day, I was like, if champ skins come with alternate level up animations, I will spend so much money. on them.
money. They should totally do that.
So much money.
Oh, they
And it's
have to
such an
do
easy
that.
way for them to update the old ones, right? Teemo,
Yeah.
just ship me a BMO skin. I'll buy that like that, right?
What's
And
wrong?
you just
Wait,
put in
what's
a new level up animation.
what's wrong with the Teemo one? You don't like the Teemo one?
It doesn't have an animation. It just goes.
What? You see the little steps?
And then that's
You see
it.
the little
Yeah,
steps?
the little- yeah. Give me like a full. You see the Renekton one after Teemo, and you're like,
Oh yeah, it's a whole movie.
mhm, really? But yeah, that's such like an easy way for them to like update these old ones and keep it fresh. Like, yeah, I'll buy champ skins if there's no alternate level up, right? But like, not
That's so
very many.
cool.
But I mean, if you give me like, yeah, you give me a cool new Teemo one. If you give me like Star Guardian Zoe and stuff like that. Let's see, what are some other ones I'd really love to see? Pretty much any of the Star Guardian ones are good. Dunkmaster Darius, I'd buy that so fast. Like, I know you don't play League.
I'm gonna pretend like I know. Cool, yeah.
But well, Dunkmaster Darius is just Darius who like bounces around a basketball.
Nice.
And
Okay.
then instead of an axe, he has an entire basketball hoop
That's awesome.
with like the backboard that he just hits people with.
That's so good.
And then yeah, when he goes to like, I mean, you don't see this, but like his ultimate is he like jumps and slams the axe on people. So instead he just dunks on them. It's so great.
Something that's amazing. Like they have it in Valorant too. When you get the different skins for the guns, and then they like look crazy different. Like there's a Nerf one, so your bullets just look like little Nerf darts that stick in the wall, and there's like dragon ones that turn into dragons, and then like different stuff happens to you when you die. Like it'll go in slow mo, or you'll like your body will do crazy like different things. And I'm like every time I play the game, I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. So yeah, doing that for Runeterra, I mean, just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, and if Riot knows how to do anything besides make a good game, it's cosmetics. They sell so much in cosmetics. There was an article recently where like Elderwood Ornn, which is not even that popular of a champion, made $9 million just a skin, just an alternate art for a champion. $9 million
printed money.
Yeah. So hopefully we see these alternate level up animations. God, to be so cool. But we haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, it's okay. Be patient. Be patient. This is where like you cut to the Futurama like meme of like take my money.
Take my money. You shut up and take my money. Expect we'll see something along the lines of League skins where they have different tiers, where some are just like basic like repaints, and then they don't cost very much, and then some have like they completely redo all the animations, and those cost more money. I expect we'll see something kind of similar.
I'd buy all of them. I wanted when foils came out. I wanted to like just pimp all my decks out with all foils, and then like I was not very impressed by them, and I just didn't.
I did not like prismatics at all. Yeah, I have Zoe prismatic because like Zoe's cool, and it makes all the stuff she makes prismatic, which is a lot of stuff. It's just good value, right? And I had accumulated enough of like the essence or whatever, just do it for free. So I was like, all right, whatever. But yeah, champ skins next month. Stoked.
Nice. All right, kids. Well, that's it for us. Come check out our streams. We will both be streaming seasonals. Come cheer us on. We will need the love and help and support. And with that, good luck, everyone, and we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
The Luscious J and Majin Bay. Thank you so much for listening to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay. New episodes come out every Friday. If you haven't done so already, be sure to join us on Discord, check out the Patreon team, and have a look at our deck database on Twitter @Master Runeterra. Links to all of these can be found in the show notes and description.